Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update. I, 30 male, rejected one of my best friends, 28 female, that I used to be in love with. Original post. I, 30 male, met my friend Jean, 28 female, 3 years ago at a recreational soccer league, and I was pretty infatuated with her from the beginning. Another guy in the league, lawyer dude 30 male, also liked her, and part of the same group of friends we got together at this league. After over a year, our friendships deepened, and I honestly fell more in love with her too. I was hesitant about damaging our friendship, but came clean and asked her if she wanted to explore something more. She told me she loved me as a friend but not into me like that, since she didn't want to get in a relationship at the time, so even though my heart was broken, I moved on. Less than 2 months later, she starts dating lawyer dude, and it became clear to me that she wasn't necessarily avoiding relationships, but just didn't want me law. I think all my romantic feelings for her ended right that moment, since I'm the type of person that wants the same excitement and feelings for a partner that I give to her. No big deal, was honestly happy for her. We were still good friends, but I left the league because my professional life picked up since I was promoted to CFO for my company, and I just didn't have the time for it. We still joked and texted all the time, and Jean and lawyer dude even came out with me, my friends, and sister to party and have some nights out. Jean even became good friends with my sister, which I was happy to see, because I'm happy to see my sister surround herself with great people. A few months ago, Jean and lawyer dude broke up, which came as a surprise to everyone because they seemed great together. I'm finding out in the past several weeks from Jean and my sister that lawyer dude was toxic and have been emotionally, psychologically, and even physically mistreating her almost the entire time they were together. Physical harm picked up in the last few months of their relationship. She even had pictures of the bruises on her body and everything. I feel terrible for her, and she's been spending more time with us, and I think she's well on the path to recovery. She should probably see a therapist or something to confirm that. Then last weekend, we were drinking some wine in my kitchen goofing around. She's teasing me about the last few girlfriends I've showed, and even doing an impression of some. We're in New York City and dating, and people can just be weird here lol. I was pretty tipsy and my kitchen is tiny Manhattan apartment, and I'm pretty sure she initiated a kiss. We kissed for maybe 7 to 10 seconds before I put a stop to it and tried to defuse the situation, joking about how strong the wine is. She agrees, laughs about it, and goes home. Early the next morning, she's at my doorstep and wants to talk. She said she's in love with me, and we can start what we should have started when I confessed to her years ago. I told her I love her as a friend, but I don't see her romantically like that, and it wouldn't be a good idea. She seemed incredibly hurt and asked if it's because I rejected her, and I told her it wasn't, but I don't think she believed me. To be honest, it probably is the reason, as I mentioned earlier. Unless someone is as golden lab excited about me as I'm into them, I lose interest in them romantically. I probably have issues, but that's just how I am. But in no way am I trying to purposely punish her. Now even my sister is texting me and giving me a hard time because she sees it as her friend who was manipulated into a relationship when she wasn't ready for it by a narcissist, and then hurt. She's accusing me of being vengeful and petty with someone who's my soulmate because she got manipulated into a relationship and chose someone else over me. My sister has also dated some jerks in the past, so I think she's just seeing it from Jean's perspective, which I don't fault her for. I reached out to Jean to see if she's okay, but she said she needs time, and it's possible we should never see each other again. I think this is super hypocritical, since I continued to be a good friend when she rejected me. I don't know what to do here. I truly do love her platonically. Should I try to explore if there's romantic potential here? I'm about to lose a friend and also potentially ruin my close relationship with my sister. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. The fact that she thinks that you, her good friend, is rejecting her because you want some payback time shows me that she really isn't ready for a relationship. Now OP, just let her go. She has some healing to do. I don't think she feels that way in a malicious way in case I wrote it that way. She's honestly an incredibly empathetic and thoughtful person, just hurting at the moment. She could also just be looking for someone to make her feel safe, protected, and to just fix it. She's known you for years, so she knows who you are. You have a good job and can be that person. But she isn't in love with you, she's in love with what a person like you could provide for her. You're just convenient because she thought you wanted her still. This isn't done maliciously, by the way. It's pretty common during psychological crisis, and is almost certainly subconscious. But like you said, she wasn't excited about you from the start, and there is a reason for that. She doesn't want you right now either, she just wants someone to make her feel loved and wanted. If you don't feel for her, you don't feel for her. You need to confront your sister with her BS. Simply advise her that you can't help that you have moved on and you're no longer romantically interested in her. Tell her that you are disturbed by the fact that she's talking about Jean being your soulmate when she's just another friend you both have in your life. Yeah, you may have had interest in the past, but that was in the past. You've grown as a person and have had experiences with Jean, which have changed how you viewed her as a person. You still care for her, but you can't view her more than a friend now. It's very weird to feel pressured and coerced into a relationship just because someone else feels you are a perfect match and completely disregarding your feelings. That's not healthy and sets a precedence for how any sort of relationship with Jean may go, with your feelings being ignored. Advise her that while you understand that Jean is her friend and she wants what's best for her, she cannot possibly think it's okay to dictate who you involve yourself with romantically or who you choose not to. It's none of her business and also makes you feel as if she doesn't have your best interests in mind because you told her how you feel and she's not listening and instead trying to sell you her dream. If you don't feel something, you don't feel something. You don't owe her anything. When she had you and someone else on the table, she chose someone else. No issue with that, can't help how you feel. But then you moved on, and you can't help how you feel. It's never alright to be coerced into a relationship. Don't let that sort of behavior slide, because then they may take other liberties. If you end up feeling something in the future, cool, but let it be on your terms. And if Jean cares enough, she'll wait and give you the space. She can choose to move on if she likes, but no one should live your life for you. Especially not your sister who's shown signs of obvious bias and lack of actual care for your best interests. Try to let Jean down gently but firmly again. Ask her to please respect your decision as you respected hers and not involve your family. Offer space or a break from the friendship if needed, but make your decision clear in no uncertain words. Set boundaries. Hopefully you can move on with your friendship with Jean and relationship with your sister on a healthier road. Yes, I need to sit down and have a chat with my sister first and foremost. We're going out to grab a meal today, so we'll have an opportunity to hash it out and let her know she should step back for the time being. She's always been a great little sister, but has a tendency to go a little crazy if she thinks she's doing something for my well-being. Giving Jean space for the time being to find her bearings. I might text her later to see if she's doing okay, but I think physical distance is good. Now for the first update. Had some people messaging me asking for an update that I've mostly ignored, but I wanted to provide an update today. I had brunch with my sister the day after the first thread went up. I actually showed her the thread, and she spent half of our meal reading through it. She actually agreed it's not her place to butt in, and apologized about making this situation more difficult for me. She said she's gonna be on my side and I can count on her going forward. She also actually agreed with a lot of the posts that I should probably take a clean break, or at the very least, some serious distance between Jean and myself. So that's what I've been doing until last night. Went to a party in Brooklyn last night for a friend's birthday and took an Uber back home to Lower Manhattan. Around midnight, my front desk calls asking if they should let a Jean up. I'm confused and say yes. She comes up and she's looking much happier and healthier than I've seen her in months. She hugs me and said she misses me and if we can just talk and hang out. Said she saw me in the party earlier that night on Instagram, and our mutual friend that was there said I left early so she came over. I've been drinking so I guess it's less awkward, so we just start talking like old times, about what we've been up to the last week and everything crazy that's going on in the world over some beers. We're in my godforsaken tiny kitchen again and she kisses me. I don't stop her this time, and she ended up spending the night. Waking up this morning, I didn't and still don't know what to think. Left while she was still sleeping to pick up some coffee. When I'm back I hear the shower, so I sit on the bed and wait for her with the coffee. When she got out, she realized I wanted to talk about last night, so she asked if she could talk first. She said she knows I'm confused, knows how it feels like I'm her backup, knows how it feels like I'm the rebound, but that none of that is true, and she loves me and wants to do whatever necessary to prove it and make it work. I told her I'm feeling confused about the situation and don't feel the same type of love for her that she thinks she feels for me. She started crying and asking if she can do anything to prove it to me, so I told her I think it's best if we take some time apart to do our own thing and let all these high emotions settle down. And if necessary, we can pick up this discussion with a cooler heads and maybe even become friends again. She cried some more and agreed. Left a few hours ago and I'm still feeling kind of shell-shocked over the whole thing and have been just pacing around my apartment. I think I made the right decision about taking a clean break for now. Anyways, I appreciate all the great advice last time, so thanks you guys. She said she knows I'm confused, knows how it feels like I'm her backup, knows how it feels like I'm the rebound. She can honestly believe this to be the case, and yet, you were the second pick, and she is on the rebound. Facts are facts, regardless of her desire for them not to be so. If I were hard-edged, I would imagine that her experience in the previous relationship has taught her to settle for a more comforting person that doesn't ring every bell in her steeple, but is safe. You. She started crying and asking if she can do anything to prove it to me. She's failing to see that this is not about you disputing how the things she feels about you. This is about how you feel about her. She seems to be still under the impression that you are hanging around waiting for her, and she just has to prove herself. She doesn't understand that her first refusal of you made you rewire yourself out of your infatuation with her. She's just not getting it. You did good. You stood by your impression of your feelings as you see them and maintained your integrity. Who can do more? You may be mistaken. It may be that you still have the capacity to feel for her like she thinks she feels for you. But what does maybe have to do with anything? Act on what you believe to be the case. And what happens when another exciting bell ringer enters her orbit and decides OP is too safe and mundane again? You are right. She either lied to him before when he confessed his feelings, or she is lying now when she confessed her feelings. Honestly, sounds like Jean is wanting stability right now. She sees you with a good job, a nice guy who used to love her, and thinks you will be the stable boyfriend she wants or needs. You need to distance yourself as soon as possible. No more letting her come over unannounced, no more being alone, and no more mixed messages. She needs to deal with her breakup and process any and all trauma before getting into another relationship. The unfortunate thing is, even if OP was still into her, being with her wouldn't be a happy ending, because when she heals from her negative experiences and gets lifted up under OP's support, she'll realize OP was the one she needed, but not the one she wants, and leave him. This is what I think too. She will be captivated by some other narcissist siren song and decide OP is boring. Just my 2 cents. When someone says they are interested, my brain usually just shuts them off as an option. It's fairly natural for me. I think it's a very healthy way to be. You did this and did everything right to stay a good friend and not some asshole nice guy stuck in the friend zone. I both commend you on that and think it gives you a perfect tool to explain it to her. Since you once had to shut all your feelings off and reshape how you saw her, asking the exact same thing of her now is both fair and intelligent. It is now her job to not be a creeper and to simply be glad to have you as a friend. Now on a side note, if you both do know the other is an option and as real friends redevelop those feelings later, that is awesome. Falling in love with a great friend is almost always amazing. However, it can't ever be one-sided at the start or it will always stay that way. So asking her to back off of that and prove she can still be a good friend with the roles reversed is the only logical path she should have to what she may potentially want. Now for the final update. Had some time and a lot has happened unfortunately, so I figured I'd provide an update since you guys provided some good advice I didn't recognize as such last time. I went straight to no contact after Jean went home after our night together. Only contact we had was via text, when she asked 2 days later if she could come over so we can talk, and I told her I didn't think that was a good idea, and I thought it was best we spent time apart for the foreseeable future. Got a few more texts saying she understood, then how good we'd be together, and then finally how I'm making a mistake. I ignored all of it until it stopped a week into it. At this point, I sadly accepted the reality that we probably could never be friends and was fine with it. We both move on and hopefully find happiness somewhere else. I mentioned before I'm the CFO for my company. For the last year we've been finalizing closing a deal with another major company, and obviously because of all these global macro events, it's made things a lot more complicated. I have incredibly strong feelings for the legal counsel we'll call LC for this company I've been working with. She's drop-dead gorgeous, smart as a whip, and an insanely tough and strong-willed woman. I tried once several months ago to ask her out, but she saw my attempt from a mile away and rightfully let me know it was hugely inappropriate for us to start a relationship because of the deal we were working with. I agreed, and although I've dated plenty the last year, I've been pining after her this entire time. 2 weeks ago, the deal was officially finalized. I'm not kidding when I say this, literally less than 60 seconds after the deal was announced, I asked her out and thank goodness she accepted. The date was incredible. She told me how difficult it's been the last several months working so closely with me when we had such strong feelings for each other. Just like how so many of my friends know about her, she's also told her friends about me. Spent the entire evening talking about how excited we finally are, and then she came home with me. Now I have no idea how, but Jean found out. She messaged her 2 days later on LinkedIn asking to talk. LC thought Jean was an annoying recruiter or saleswoman at first, and then Jean mentioned she knows about us seeing each other. Jean told LC that she and I were in a complicated and bumpy phase in our relationship. When LC didn't respond, Jean mentioned how I manipulate and use women, how I'm a serial dater and only chase women, and that if a girl has feelings, I hurt them instead. LC was freaked out about this, and the next day she asked me for coffee and showed me all of this. Said she likes me, but she really doesn't want to get involved in any drama, so maybe we shouldn't see each other. I had to beg her to give me a chance. I told her our entire history, and thank God I actually wrote it down in the previous posts, so I showed those to her too. She agreed to give us a chance, but I can see she's shaken up with all of this. I'm infuriated. I honestly don't know what to do. I've never been a vengeful and hurtful person, but I'm really tempted to call Jean and say some incredibly hurtful things to her. LC and I have blocked her in all mediums of communication. I made my sister do the same, who's also freaked out by how Jean is behaving. This is probably and hopefully the final update. I'm kind of upset that so many of you told me how manipulative and potentially dangerous Jean was, and I completely ignored it. I've learned my lesson now though, and will act accordingly if I have to interact with Jean again. I honestly think going through a toxic relationship taught her some incredibly toxic things. I'm angry with her, but I know in my heart she wasn't always like this. My advice: get a lawyer and send a cease and desist. Do not use LC, get someone else. Use the messages sent to your LC as evidence. What if she contacts more people and ruins your professional reputation, your CEO, investors, etc.? She needs to stop spreading libel, and maybe she is slandering you behind your back as well. Document everything. Make 2 FU folders with all documentation, in case her behavior escalates to stalking or making false police reports about abuse or rape. Leave one at home and one with your lawyer or with a trusted friend. You will need documentation if you get picked up on false claims. In the best case, she gets the message and leaves you alone. But I see so many nasty ways how this could escalate and ruin your life. She is already lying to sabotage your relationship and to get attention. This might escalate very quickly, including making a false police report or stalking both you and LC. Edit: just reread your post, and you said you learned your lesson. I don't think you did. My point stands, she is already stalking you, and she might already turn your mutual friends against you. Please be safe and make sure LC is safe as well. Jean is clearly unstable. Maybe go to the police first. Them talking to her might scare her off. Thanks, I've actually been advised the same by a good friend. And I've definitely learned my lesson. I'm trying to navigate through this very carefully.